Good morning, everyone. I'm here today to talk about the Scaled Agile Framework, version 4.5. The scope of the presentation is strictly about version 4.5, which was released this year in about June, I believe. So I'm not going to talk about previous versions of the framework because we wouldn't have the time to do that. So everything is based on version 4.5, which may be new to most of you because it just came out. And it's not really different from version 4. It's just I would call a little bit more enhancements and made it easier to be used. Made it more understandable, if you ask me. Anyway, let's get started. We're going to talk about what exactly is the Scaled Agile Framework. Okay, one calls it. It's described as a freely revealed knowledge base of integrated, proven patterns for enterprise Lean-Agile development. That's the textbook definition of the framework. But what is simple terms is that everything about the framework is open, nothing's hidden. What you see is what you get. It's integrated. The whole platform is integrated, and the patterns have been proven, tested and proven before they were put into practice. Something that has been proven to work and be effective for Lean enterprise organization. Up to provide synchronization synchronization in regards to alignment, collaboration, and delivery for a large number of teams. And basically what the framework is about is teams of Agile teams. At every level, there is teams of Agile teams, which are typically called release trains. But we're dealing with multiple Agile teams as opposed to one Agile team that most of us are probably familiar with, like when you're doing Scrum. That's it in a nutshell, at a very high level. 4 core values of SAFe. These are the values that the framework supports and uses to implement its processes and practices. Okay, they are called alignment, built-in quality, transparency, and program execution. These are the fundamental beliefs that make SAFe effective, and be like guiding principles that you are expected to be utilized so that it kind of dictates how you behave. How the behavior and the actions for everyone who participates in SAFe. So I'll talk about built-in quality. What this means is that in order to be able to scale, you have to have the quality has to be good because you can't scale bad code. You just can't do that. Well, you would want to do that. Execution. The whole program has to scale so that in order for the program to scale, all the components of the program have to scale. Alignment. Optimize the whole. That's a lean principle. Basically, all of the teams are in alignment with the objectives of the solution. Transparency, we're familiar with transparency from Scrum, visibility into what's going on, the information radiators that are used in Scrum. Well, this is kind of the same thing at a higher level. Transparency is pretty important. All of them are pretty important. Okay. This represents the Lean-Agile Mindset. It used to be called, I'm not sure, I think it's called the Lean-Agile Mindset, and it's really called the House of Lean. This is what, these are the foundations for that the framework uses, and I'll talk about them in a little more detail. I'll call it the roof, but the goal actually is value. The whole idea behind Agile and Agile methods is delivering value to customers. Value if anyone's not familiar with the word value, it means the health of an organization in the long term. Value describes the health of an organization. In terms of value delivery, the goal for value is sustainable shortest lead time. That means that getting to market faster than the others. So you want to get to market quick. You want to provide best quality and value to people and society. That's all tied to value. And, of course, we want to have high morale, safety, and customer. We always want to have customer delight. That's very important. Foundation, which is at the bottom. The foundation is the Lean-Agile leadership. Leadership is very important because, without leadership, you can't be successful with Agile or Scaled Agile Framework. You have to have a support from the leadership. The management has to be teaching and approving teaching to support the venture moving forward. The decisions are based on long term, not just the short term. Also, management would expect it to be using the principles of Lean-Agile leadership. Tiers. It's a combination of what beliefs, assumptions, and actions of states. We expect that leaders and practitioners are going to embrace these concepts. Agile Manifesto, I'm sure most of you have probably heard of before, and lean thinking. They want you to think lean mindset. It's a personal and intellectual leadership foundation that you need to adapt and apply the safe principles and practices. I'll talk about the tiers. Respectful people and culture. It's similar to the Agile Manifesto, where people are more important than processes and tools. So this is the same thing. You need to have respectful people in their culture. And that's because people do all the work. They're very valuable. Without people, you can't accomplish very much. And your customer is whoever consumes your work. You don't want to overload them. You don't want to make them wait. You don't want to force them utilize a wasteful work, impose wishful thinking on the customer. These are things that are supported by the Lean-Agile Mindset. And you want to build long-term partnerships based on trust. You want to have a good relationship with your customers and people in general that are supporting the solution. That's culture change. If any of you have done an Agile implementation with Scrum, perhaps, it's really difficult for culture to change. It doesn't happen very fast. It's the last thing that happens. It's not going to be the first thing that happens when you try to implement Agile methods. It takes time. It can even take years, depending on how large an organization is. So you have to understand that going into an Agile implementation, that the culture is just not going to change quickly. The culture to change, the organization has to change, but change is so painful for many. It's very slow, and it's a process because realistically, not many people like change that much. They like what they're used to. I'm sure all of you understand what flow is. It's just the way things come from start to finish. It's considered to be flow. In regards to flow, you want to optimize continuous to sustainable throughput of value. You want to focus on make sure that value is being delivered and it can be sustained. That it should be continuous and it should be able to be sustained. Then, not an afterthought. And actually, it depends on quality being built in. Variability. You need variability, explore it, and manage it. No one likes variability, but it has to be exploited and managed. Variability is sometimes it happens and you can't do anything about it, but you want to just be able to deal with it, just for your benefit. Ideal behind flow is to delays. Avoid stop, start. Delays are very costly. You don't want to have too many delays. You want to make sure that the delays are minimal. Also, to make use informed decisions so you can get fast feedback. Things that are based on that are objective and not subjective, basically, is what that refers to. Produce and customers validate. I think sometimes people, the framework has pointed out that